Aloha, my name is Nancy Kerner, and I'm a holistic health practitioner, author, intuitive, and facilitator of women's circles and retreats for over 3 decades. I love my family and witnessing people break the shackles of fear and pain into love, prosperity, peace, and infinite possibilities.
Been president, who wants to be president again, Donald Trump, who's under criminal trial as we speak. What was that setup? What were you saying? I mean, he's way at the back of the frame.
This is, I've been told, one of his favorite rooms. It's the boardroom in Trump Tower, where everyone would get fired in his TV show. This is where he exercised power as a rehearsal, I think, for the presidency. I remember saying to him, Donald, let's just be human.
When was this?
This is before he was president, before even the election campaign started properly. Yeah. And I said, let's be human together. I said, we've all followed your career. No one can doubt it's an extraordinary career path you've had, but there's always something about you. There's always an air of tension and controversy about things you say and do in public. And I'm sure it's intentional on your part, but it feels to me as if you're in the middle of an emotional storm. And I said, I can't live with that anxiety all the time. As a fellow human being, I'd like to know how you weather the storm. He calmly looked at me and he said, I am the storm.
Aloha. Are you ready for a miracle? Oh my goodness, I bet your answer is yes, like mine. Welcome and thank you. A miracle is a shift in our perception. And that's why, from the heart of love, Allison and I bring you all the videos and information that we do. We could actually fill a show for 3 hours, and I know that'd be way too long. And yet, it's important to me as a holistic health practitioner, a relationship manager and coach, and all the other metaphysical manifesting, all the things that I've studied over the past 35 years. Included one thing that was very, very important, and that was that the United States government was an illegal corporation run out of England. And later I would learn that the missing gold has now landed in Reno, Nevada. When the Fort Knox was taken a look at, because that's where we kept all our gold, it wasn't there. And so this plan that we're witnessing is multiple psyops. We've been in a psyop since we were born. And so what I'm here to do is to help you to discern what is real and what isn't, who is good and who is bad. And we have so many anons helping us with decodes over at Jeremy's Telegram channel, Patriots Rising, and Patriot Princess's channel, and Sarah. They have an amazing group of people over there. And so I go to them and I ask questions. You know, is Alex Jones 2.0? Does that mean he's been replaced and he was working with Mossad? I've heard those questions asked, and you know, we haven't come to that road yet. However, I do believe that Phil is about to expose that, because if you follow his Telegram channel, you will see when he puts somebody up there and says, hey, let's do a show together, like he just did with Alex, what is he intentionally doing? Is it the same thing, the same exposure that he went through with Good Lion, Alvear? Once Phil puts you in his target, you are marked. So watch out. More news is coming on that. Is Tucker 2.0? Does that mean he was replaced? Some of you know these answers, and if you do, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be looking at chats. And, you know, before we welcome people and talk about what's going on, I really wanted to, oh my goodness, we have lots of new friends today. Welcome, everyone. If you're watching this, then you are awake or you're waking up. And we have so many people joining our channel. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, what do we do to help prepare our community? How do we get information out? How do we help you stay calm, recognizing that all is well in the world, and yet these scare events are being shown on the mainstream media? There are certain people we do trust in mainstream media, you know, like Jesse Waters. I'm thinking, gotta be a Kennedy. So looks like a Kennedy. And with this information comes great responsibility. So what are you going to do with this information? Will you help prepare yourself and your family and friends if they are open to hearing it? I know what it's like to have your family say, cray cray, she's cray cray. And friends, I was devastated in January 2021 when I tried to let everybody know that wasn't Joe Biden in the White House, that these are actors. And 200 friends left immediately. So I know the feeling of feeling like you're crucified. that you're told you're nuts, you're crazy, or you have friends that say they took down that person's website because they weren't telling the truth. They actually believe that they have the power to control our thoughts, our words, and our narrative. And so thank God for alternative media like Rumble. Rumble is so good. They do not censor me. My YouTube channel has been censored again. I'm in timeout. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching from Nancy Kerner's show 2. And just please remember that as we cross the finish line. There's so much we're going to cover today. And yet I do want to call out to the people who are in my community. I know I've met tens of thousands of people over the last 35 years by being proactive in co-creating communities, starting in my home, starting at the local thrift store where we gathered women around to talk about recovery and codependency and taking our power back. And yet that was the beginning of going to many empowerment seminars, spiritual retreats, and opening my mind to what is spirit speaking to me, what is my intuition telling me, and learning how to navigate the intuitive intelligence within me and within you. So whatever I'm creating, it has to do with empowering you to, like I say in my opening every day in that little video in Hawaii that we shot. I look forward to, and it brings me great joy to see people, to see the truth so you can break the shackles of fear, because that's how they control us, through fear, through being a good citizen by getting your mammograms and your prostate exams and being afraid of the C word and creating this medical industry that is nothing. Well, I won't say nothing. There are good people, good doctors who do great work there, great nurses too. And yet most of them are just plugged into the system and unconsciously walking through protocols that were created using Rockefeller oil. Is that oil? Yeah, Rockefeller oil and the Rothschilds and all these Illuminatis are controlling the world of information, of medicine, of geopolitics. You know, we see Trump exposing that. We're going to cover a lot of things today. Yet I really want to encourage you to watch The Cult of Medics. That's what Allison has been posting on the channel, along with the JFK Truth. So, you know, they're both so good. It's like, Allison, I can't keep up. And yet it's so empowering to be able to look at those videos, trace back who really is controlling us from the top. And it points to the Club of Rome or the 100 of Rome. Maybe Allison can help me with that. I've forgotten the term. But the exposing that small group where there's only 100 or 10 who make all the decisions, the Club of Rome. Thank you, Allison. And then there's one at the top, and that person or entity is hidden. So nobody knows who or what it is. I want to know who that controller is. And that's my quest, to find out who's the one who is dark and evil and wants us suppressed slaves. We are willing slaves through our taxation system and the illegal, corrupt IRS. The money does not go back to us. Look at it. It's going over to Ukraine. Wait till you see who's involved in Ukraine if you don't already know that. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, the Obamas. It was their playground, and they have taken over using bioweapons labs and doing what they do to all the nations that they go over and infiltrate, take over their central banking system. So everyone has to be on the United States dollar, the fiat dollar, and that is about to end. It's already ended. This has all happened already. We're not shown anything that hasn't happened. And so you may ask yourself, what can we expect? What kind of scare event? And how to stay calm Well, the first thing is to make sure you're prepared to have a blackout. And that blackout, I believe, is social media. We may lose the internet for a while and then reconnect to Starlink. That's the what we've been hearing, and Project Odin. So we're going to see some very interesting and fascinating events take place. We may wake up to or hear at some point during the day or night some alarms, some air raid drills, some scary things. And that's when you need to know, trust the plan. This is for the people who aren't awake. The stock market is about to collapse. Iraq is about to revalue, along with all the other BRICS nations that we have been following. And Nebraska just put out a bill where you cannot charge the citizens, what do you call it, capital gains tax on their silver and gold, on their metals. It's illegal. So what I see happening in the background is something I started looking at about 10 years ago called the Convention of States. And boy, did that piss off Hillary Clinton. She was denouncing the Convention of States and saying, just calling everybody names and stuff. And so that's when you know you're over the target. If the Mossad media, mainstream news, is touting it, then that's because they're scared, what lifts. And they are, Hillary was taken care of at the 9/11 event in 2016 before the election. She was arrested. Joe Biden around the same time or after. He could have been 2019 or 17. I forget the dates. Yet we have to see that they have been using technology in being able to put on those masks. We've shown videos of that with voice boxes, just like in Mission Impossible movies, they have to show you. And also that most of the people that you're watching show up on those mainstream media cameras, especially on like CNN, MSNBC, those organizations. And I'm not left or right, I'm truth for the people. But those politicians, they have been dealt with for the majority of them, because our government is corrupt to the core. People have been bribed, blackmailed, discriminating videos. And that's where Jeffrey Epstein comes in, because he had all the goods on everybody. So did P. Diddy. This is all breaking loose, and we're going to cover this in more depth. Actually, just, we have our segments and we have our blocks of information, and we're going to go over the financial block, and we're going to tell you the truth about Hollywood. At some point here, we're going to have a great video on Hollywood. It's a short one. And in the meantime, I just invite you to sit back and ask yourself this. If you could dream the biggest dream that would be in service to humanity or your family or your community, what would you create? Who would you create it with? When two or more are gathered together holding the same dream in their hearts for peace on earth, for prosperity for all humans, what good can you do? If you've invested in foreign currency and you're waiting for the Forex to show the new rates, any day now. What would you create, and who would you create it with? Would you design and market clothing that was healthy for us, for our skin, that was breathable? Would you get away from synthetics? Would you create your own products? Or, like Allison does, she makes her own shampoos and all kinds of good stuff. She uses castor oil on her hair, and she has beautiful mane. I think I might start trying that out. So with that, I want to say that if you're interested in joining my new Discord channel, Nancy Kerner and Friends, please ask me for an invite, whether in Telegram or on Facebook or in email, nancy@nancykerner.com. The reason is because I don't want this open to the entire world. This is going to be a different kind of a Discord channel where we do focus on managing our, one moment, please. Allison says links in the description. Okay. So that you can watch and, watch things on your own time if you want to rewatch any different parts of that, or if you want to share them with people. So, let's see, where was I? I lose my train of thought so early. Oh, there you well, I didn't really want to show it. I didn't really want to put it out there to everybody. I really want to manage the integrity and the heart, the heart. So I will be coaching people on ego management, and we will be vulnerable, open, and share our thoughts, etc. And yet, as a facilitator, coach, yes, please, yes, please, that's all right. This is so vital because many Discord channels have saved me when I was lost, when I woke up and I was feeling alone and I was crying and I was going, what in the world are we going to do? They stole the election right in front of our eyes and my friends don't see it. Well, I took the risk. I got on my computer and I found communities who were awake, much more awake than I was. And so they taught me, they showed me, they helped me discover how to read Q drops, what it means when Dan Scavino makes a post or Trump makes a post, so that we can follow the truth rather than the lying MSN, so that we could make healthy choices for our body, like using ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and zinc and selenium and vitamin C and the basics for a foundation for a healthy body to prevent dis-ease in our bodies. And we have gone through this horrific food chain supply, raised our kids on it, and it's gotten worse. When I open the freezer and I see, peanut butter and jelly pastries, all this food that has zero nutrition to it is adding to the depopulation. There's so many chemicals, and we won't even get started on those boosters and what was in them. Yet we have some information. I won't jump the gun on that. It is time for us to take our power back from the heart. Yes, we get angry. Yes, we get PO'd. Yet staying angry is where they want us. Staying helpless and in fear is where they want us. They feed off the loosh of that energy. They keep us divided. And I, for one, am standing up to the silencing that has taken place, not only from the mainstream media, not only from our deep state government, yet there's family and friends who've tried to silence me for way too long. They don't get me in some areas because they might have a degree or they might be, standing on their placards. This is about real raw people who are tapped in, tuned in, awake and aware that this is a huge revolution, and the revolution of truth, the revolution of the new financial sectors, so that they can't control our money anymore, so that we can make direct contact. If I want to send something if I want to donate to somebody, rather than going through like what we have, the buy a coffee, because PayPal takes their hit and then that company takes a hit. So by the time you get your money, and Mark Z says this all the time, about half of his donations go to YouTube. We want direct access to the people we're sending money to and receiving money to. We want direct access to the companies that right now you may be invested in on the stock market. I want to go direct to those companies and invest in them. Will that be part of our future? I hope so. I keep seeing visions about that. And, I am called vision dancer. So sometimes I see things before others, and sometimes I'm given intel that has me think that way too. So we're moving into this end game, and it's not the end game ultimately, it's the beginning of the end and the end of the beginning. So what that means to me is that, yes, once we have the first Black Swan event, the RV, and a piece of Nasara could be that, it happens in tandem with the stock market going that, maybe not collapsing completely, yet down to 20% or whatever. What happens when that happens? That's an interesting use of words, Nancy. What'll happen is when the codes go in the derivatives markets go away. So your loans, your car loan, your house loan, your credit card debt, all of that goes away as well. And so that's kind of a first piece of Nasara. We're also going to get monthly stipends, or what do you call it? Not a stipend. We're getting back the money they stole from us. And depending on your age will depend on how much money you get. And we've talked about that on previous videos. Stipends. Thank you, Allison. Allison homeschooled her children. She's a very bright, articulate woman and has way more education from the education system, because I was too busy just trying to survive moving and going to 11 elementary schools, 3 junior highs, and 2 high schools. I was in survival mode, and I was scared of the world. I was afraid of the world, and I'm not afraid anymore, because you know what? You have helped me in more ways than you know through watching these shows. And I want to thank you for watching Tressie Trek in my show. I just looked at it and it had over 20,000 views. Now that I'm not competing, bless you, Allison. I'm not competing with major podcasters. I'm not competing with anybody. Yet it warms my heart. And Spirit told me the vision for me was to reach 4 million women one day, over 20 years ago. And I don't know if that's my destiny. It doesn't matter. That it's not about that. It's about how many people are waking up and who will choose to use the information that you have to create a better life for yourselves and your families, if you have them, or your communities. You can create, as my friend Ann would say, I just want to be a philanthropist and give, give, give. And with the giving, it's reciprocal, giving and receiving. So what do you receive when you give? Do you get that feeling of joy in your heart? I've got joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? That was a Unity Church song that we used to sing. It was beautiful. And so with this prosperity coming in, what will you do with it? We need to be responsible and mindful. We do talk about having a trust in place when you receive your money, so that you're buying things from your trust. And don't share the name of your trust with anybody. Don't put it on your Facebook page or let it be known. Like if I was to put Vision Dancer as my trust, that'd be pretty obvious, because people know I go by that handle. So we need to be discerning and discreet about our trust. Now, I'm not an expert in trust. I've set one up online, and yet I'm going to wait until I go to the bank, and then I will create the ultimate trust. So the reason we set up trusts is to protect our assets. When you're in a trust, then they can't go after you personally. If, say, for example, you're in an injury accident. And of course, if you're responsible, you want to pay for that injury accident and make it good. We are people who are good Samaritans. We're good-hearted, conscious beings of light. Our bodies are light, and they don't want you to know that. We have access to multidimensional realms of wisdom and information. We receive informations in our dream, yet we can't always remember. In fact, this is the path to remembering. We're all walking home to remember how powerful we truly are. If we have healthy tissues and organs and cells and meridians, and we have our emotional energy centers that we trust. If we're sad, we can identify where that is in our body and what is making us sad. And if we have joy, what you can see it. I mean, my goodness, Allison was so funny in our last video on what's today, Tuesday, last Thursday at the end. We were dancing to Timber, and we just love that song. And so we both were standing up dancing, and she flipped on the camera, and there I am at the end. I want a full-blown dance party when this is over. I want to celebrate with you, because even though we're shining a light on the most horrific darkness, what's been done to the children, the human trafficking, the torture, the murder, the rape, and the adrenochrome. We do have a film on that, the adrenochrome film, and it was many months ago that we did that. And yet, how can we stay in joy when we see this truth and all of it? Well, the most important thing is to not attach yourself to that issue, especially when it's a past issue. If you want to start a foundation for children or open a medical bed center for children and vets and you and me, just for anyone, put yourself into action to create the dream that you can actually help people in your areas. And I've heard that we will be able to have training on those medical bed centers. And if we're going to own one of those centers and create it, then we will get the training that we need. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here. Welcome. And Allison, did you have some people that you wanted to highlight? Oh, we do have YouTube. This must be on Nancy Kerner too, where they're watching from, because like I said, mine's down. DJ, happy to be here at Clearly Truth. Beautiful. Welcome. Living the Good Life says, good morning. Glad to see you live beautifully, Nancy and Allison. Are we ready to go? I need this now. Yeah, I really think we are. I really believe we are. Valiant Thor is on our channel. The further society, pardon me, I think I just had a little moment. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. Yeah, I've been crucified more times than Christ himself. Absolutely. Shunned, written off. Yeah. And you know what? I cry, I bless and release those people. And yet I focus on my purpose and being in service. Aloha 2021 free bird from New Hampshire. Aloha, Allison.
Aloha. I just wanted to say these are from Rumble. That's why it looks different, because I wanted to show them on the screen. So yeah.
Aloha, Shar. Thank you. This is just Shar. She was there for me when I woke up, and I didn't know that JFK was still alive. So I love and appreciate Shar. I'm hoping to be her neighbor. Blessings to you. Thank you, Allison. Who else? The Crystal Lady Creations. Ooh, hi, Allison and Nancy. This is one of the women who is co-creating. Well, they have their own community in, I think it's Mission in British Columbia, and they are gathering together and they're watching the show, and they didn't know about the foreign currency. So, there are people who are doing good works, and I'm actually ordering one of her heart pendants. And she's going to send that to me because I lost my heart. I had one I wore that Tammy made from Canada. I love Canadians. Thank you for being here. We love and appreciate you. And I never know if I should say your real name out loud. Aloha, Colleen.
We got butter pie.
Butter pie. What kind of butter pie? Anything with butter is good, right? Wait a minute. What was that? Pound from where?
From Virginia.
Down Virginia. Oh, that's interesting. Virginia. You know what? I went there once. I did my first sweat lodge there through the American Institute of Holistic Theology. And I went to the ocean and I put my feet in, and there were dolphins. They're not the spinner dolphins like Hawaii. Spinner dolphins are different. They fly out of the water. But in Virginia, they had the dolphins going. And I put my foot in the water and I was like, dang, you guys have warm water on the East Coast. We got cold water on the West Coast. Grew up in California, cold, but Hawaii is warm.
I would never have realized that till I stuck my feet in the water. I mean, I know it's cold there, but I've grown up on the Gulf Coast, going down to Port Aransas and lived in Corpus Christi for 25 years. I'm used to the warm water. That would freak me out a little bit too.
Yeah, the West Coast is cold. Aloha, Hermunis. Hola, she says, from Vancouver. Now, this woman, Miss Wendy, she and I are in this community of hundreds of women in Canada, and she happens to know Colleen. So, there's this going on. We're meeting and blending our communities together to empower each person to create what they want to. If they want to create circles or retreats or communities or higher purpose or be a philanthropist, we get ideas from each other.
Colleen says she's in Winlaw, British Columbia.
Winlaw. I've heard of it. I'm not sure I
Okay.
know. I did my women's weekend in Hope, Canada. Woo, cold showers there, that's for sure.
Oh, that's
And
yeah.
it's beautiful. In Hope, pardon me, they have this mountain, and with us, we go over the mountain. They have this highway that goes right across this mountain range, and it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Pardon me.
No, that's a great point. There are so many. The history videos I've been watching and screening to what to bring up, there have been so many speculations about how there used to be giant trees, and some of the mountains look like
Giant trees.
a giant tree stump. I mean, what kind of trees were those if they were mountain size? I mean, holy badolis, that's big.
Well, and that is true, I believe, and seeing them myself and trying to point them out to my loved ones, they go, hey. And yet giants are also in those mountainsides. You can see faces, you can see animals, and we're going to go exploring big time when we get the big reveal.
I can't wait, because I've seen those pictures of, like a turtle or a giant Indian's face, or I mean, it literally, you can see it in the stone. It's like there's no way that could have formed like that over centuries. Just somebody didn't carve that. It's like it melted into the earth.
Yeah.
And there's some
fossilized.
I have to give a warning to the channel, because anybody that's a sensitive empath, you'll want to probably not watch this video, but I felt it's important. Not all the things that I put out do I agree with promoting, but I feel it's important for us to know what really happened so we can make better judgments and never let that happen again. And it's called Hellstorm. I'm going to be airing it here in the next day or two.
Okay.
I had to just kind of go through it myself, but I feel it really is truth that has to be shown, even as ugly as it is, so that we never let it happen again. And it's crazy what really happened to the Germans. They were vilified, as you have said before on that video. And I apologize, I haven't gotten the Hitler. It's a 6-hour one, and I've had trouble getting it up anywhere because no one wants to air it. But it shows the other side of, did the Rothschilds do a Illuminati tricky thing to twist Hitler into being the bad guy? That just has always a little fact that keeps rolling around in my head. Like, were they really? I mean, he's been made out to be this horrible person, and maybe he was. I mean, according to what the mainstream teaches us, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you for putting a warning on that, and I hope you'll do that in the title of it as well.
Sure.
Did we say aloha to Miss Tammy Mace?
Oh,
aloha, Tammy.
She must have snuck in on me. I'm so sorry.
She snuck in on us. We're so grateful that you're here. Thank you, Allison, for all the incredible videos that you're putting up. Some of you, and I appreciate your comments, as long as they're respectful. It won't get deleted. If you start trashing me or anybody else, then bye-bye. And you know what? We don't attract a lot of that. I think that we really do have a bubble of love around us, because some of this information is highly disturbing. And yet you just think of it. When we show the upcoming things, think about it. Who in their right mind, in their human mind, in their heart and soul would ever do these things? And yet, if we don't take a look at it, and some of you may not, and that's okay. You can just trust what you hear, because some sensitive cannot handle it. And I get it. I'm kind of different. And You know, I've been raised in a really survival environment, and many ways, you know, living off the raw land on 6 acres in Monroe and carving out the trees. We had those big, huge, old cedar tree stumps as big as this room. And so I've seen nature at its best, and I've seen humans at their worst now. I never said the word evil before. I didn't believe in evil. And I can say that it is the contrast between light and dark. And I'm so grateful that we know what we know so that we can be the light workers for the future and empower people to carry their light into the communities that they serve or are a part of, or who want to be trained in doing that. Because it's important to set the tone. If we don't set the tone, leave our egos at the door and come in to the circles in our hearts, then we're bringing all of our personal baggage and crap with us and planting that in the circle and infecting everybody with it. So we do have rituals and practices. They're not black magic at all. They're heart-centered and loving. And we women, we were crucified. We were burned at the stake, by the Catholics because they didn't want us giving out holistic natural remedies. They didn't want us speaking the truth because they knew we had the power. The women had the power of intuition, and we could look in somebody's eyes and see if their heart was open or closed or dark. So we've got to trust those skills. Many men have them too. And yet they may not identify with it. They'll just say, I got a gut feeling. It doesn't matter. Gut feeling, intuitive hit. We need to trust the bodies that we have. Okay, so Miss Allison and I have been working this morning on putting together these little blocks of information. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the Mark Z block at the financial sector, which many of you are really ready to hear now.
I'm certain you guys have already seen it. We've had plenty of clips. We had one, of course, overnight with Sudani telling folks prepare for an exchange of their currencies and a change of rate in Iraq. He's telling the people. He's telling the people. So, you missed that since this morning. I want to consider that a nothing burger. The president of the country saying, hey, you're getting ready to have a change. Be prepared. Know what you're spending when that value changes. That's a good piece for the day, isn't it? I think it's a good piece for the day. I think it's a great piece for the day.
I do too. Okay, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to stay in the flow, detached from what I'm going to share, because I was on dinar recaps on the 27th, and I came across a post in there that I looked at several times, reread it several times, and there wasn't. I usually take screenshots, but I didn't think it was necessary because you can go back and look up old dinar recaps. Well, every time I would go to find the rates that I saw in there, it would take me to the 28th. I wanted to see the 27th. It would move me to the 28th. So I don't know if Dinar Recaps posted that and deleted it or what happened over there, but honest to God truth, I saw the values. I posted them on Facebook of what they said. I would have never posted any information unless I read it there first or heard it from Mark Z. So they were saying, and I'm going by memory, you'd have to look at my Facebook to get the exact amount. Yet these rates were talked about a long time ago, a couple of years ago, being floated around. Dallas floated them around, other people in PPN, et cetera. And Mark Z said, Dr. Shabibi said it would be even, well, I'm not going to quote Dr. Shabibi, but Mark Z looked back to him. We've seen his videos. And what happened in Kuwait? Well, Kuwait went higher than they had said they would go. And Iraqi dinar is supposed to go higher than the Kuwait dollar did. And I think it was 3 something. So I did read Scouts Honor, Girl Scouts Honor, I think it was 461 for the street rate for Iraqis people, and they are going to be so happy. And it could, who knows what that final rate would be. And then for the contracted rate, the internet group, which is 4B, those of us, that it was $18. Now that number didn't surprise me. I've heard it floated in different communities. So stay detached. Oh, you found it. Okay, I'm trying to make my screen better. $465 and $19, not 18, $19. And you know what? Some beloved people in the community questioned me on that. Where did I see that? They couldn't find it anywhere. And thank you for questioning me. I would have taken it down had I not seen it with my own eyes. So when that happens, I take it as a God shot. I was meant to see this in that divine moment, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. So we'll see. It's coming in soon. Do you have anything else on Iraq? Before I just say that I wanted to go ahead.
No, I'm asking. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we were talking earlier, and I listened to Militiaman, and he had said, no, they're not waiting for the budget because they took one of their laws, their financial laws, and they used that old law to be able to, put that budget under. So it doesn't look like they created a new budget. It's just been put under that other law that already exists. And I can't think of the name that I'm thinking of for these laws. Anyways, pardon me for that.
I don't know that little smidgen of.
So the point is, they don't need to wait for anything, right? They're ready. We are at the.
I'll get my pop-pop.
and there's a lot of information pointing to what's tomorrow, Wednesday? We could see something as early as tomorrow. And May 2nd is Thursday. Now there's something going on May 2nd. I think it's another country. It's one of the stands, I think, like Kazakhstan. Please don't quote me. I didn't write it down. They are going to reveal their new currency platform on the 2nd. So that is Thursday. Tomorrow's the 1st, right?
Yeah.
I think. And then Friday is May 3rd. There's so many things lining up with different countries who are saying, hey, we're coming out.
I'm coming out.
Yeah.
Well, we have a little bit going on in Japan too, my dear.
Let's see what's happening in Japan.
It is an article that echoed the truth that we're going to show you his decode of the debt clock. SBI CEO, every bank in Japan will use Ripple's XRP by 2025.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that intriguing?
All of you XRP holders and Ripples. You know what I've never told you is that when I was in a group in California on the coast, we had this small meeting of people who were in isogenics and, network marketers. And that's the first time I ever saw Bluetooth. So this was a long time ago. And the guys there were creating Ripple. I forget the guys' names, but I followed them for a little while because they were showing us, how when you go to unlock a code, when you're looking at something and they want to validate it's you and they have pictures and you got to put the bicycles together. That's what they were creating, was Ripple information to unlock all this information. So I'm curious if those guys were a part of all of, the name Ripple, like how many different companies have that name? And they did. Anyways, that's it.
Sounds pretty cool that you got to be in on that. I just saw a video of the CEO announcing what they're doing, and don't quote me at all on what he said because I've listened to so many things. It's all jumbled a little bit, but he's definitely a part of it. This
Who is
the CEO
the
of
guy?
The CEO.
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy. And this is a little bit on the debt clock with this guy's name. I really like it. Echo the Truth.
Echo the truth.
Oh, X.
Yes, he's definitely XRP. So let's see what he has to say.
This is the most recent secret image from the USDebtClock.org X account. The date that it was posted on was April 28, 2024 at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they gave us this image right here, Manifest Greatness X. Calculate, listen carefully. BRICS replace yuan. Totally erase Facebook, the last messenger of the Lord. This is the final battle. The kingdom of God is near. Bragg Garlinghouse XRP storm is upon us. If you're familiar with manifesting, then you know that anything is possible. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. When running the gematria calculator on this phrase, I only put in the words that were actually capitalized because that is what stuck out to me the most. Calculate. Follow the White Rabbit. Operation Nightrise. Francis Scott Key Bridge. Timing is everything. See you at the gathering. Now things get spicy. Checkmate with a dark night. This phrase comes from the Bible, the New Testament, John chapter 4, verse 4. It means that the power of God is within you. We are the creators and the controllers of our own reality. If you want something, you can do it, you can get it, and you can achieve it. Here's a really good example. Back in the day, I was getting divorced from my son's mother. And because of the state I lived in, they didn't award me 50-50 custody. I was actually about to lose custody of my son, not because of anything I did wrong, but because my ex-wife was wanting to move out of state with my son. Just when I thought all hope was lost, I didn't give up because I manifested that I was going to get 50-50 custody of my son, and I did not give up. I worked very hard and worked with organizations, and in 2017, the shared custody law was passed here in Kentucky.
He is seeing a change in their custody laws, allowing both parents to spend equal time with their children. 9 on Your Side's Palacero speaks to a parent who's able to take advantage of this new order.
3-year-old Lucas Samuel Chen has a Facebook page he doesn't know exists.
Hi. I love you.
His father, William Chen, just went through a divorce and gets to see him one day a week and every other weekend.
Oh man, he's a bundle of joy.
So he uses the page to document all he does with his son.
He's literally my mini-me.
That's because of a new Kentucky law on temporary child custody orders. The new order calls for shared parenting, where kids get to spend the same amount of time with both parents.
Before, if both parents didn't agree to it, then they would have to fight it out, one being a winner and one being a loser. But now in Kentucky, even if one parent disagrees, there's still the presumption of shared parenting.
Chairman of the Kentucky Chapter National Parents Organization says this will benefit children.
Well, research says that children are less likely to do drugs or have premarital sex, and they're better to have good life outcomes.
The only exception to the law, which took effect July 1st, is if there's likelihood of neglect or abuse of a child.
This new law is going to help a lot of families that want to be in their children's life. They don't have to fight for it.
And I became the very first parent in the state of Kentucky to win joint custody based on that law. And many states around America have actually adopted that shared custody law, ultimately helping out thousands of families all across. I didn't give up. I worked hard and I achieved it. And we have the opportunity to manifest greatness, just like one of our founding fathers, George Washington. As this image is depicted in this background, Washington crossing over the Delaware.
The year was 1777. The cold winter of Valley Forge had taken its toll on the Continental Army, and the British seemed to be on the brink of victory. But amidst this darkness, a light shone in the form of a divine prophecy. George Washington, the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, was visited by an angel. This celestial being revealed to him a vision of America's future. The angel showed Washington a map of America, dotted with villages, towns, and cities that stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The angel declared, "While the stars remain, and the heavens send down dew upon the earth, so long shall the Union last."
Angel's voice say, "Son of the Republic, you look and learn." And at the angel's voice, that shadowy figure again tried to dip its hand in the water and sprinkle it on America, but instantly the dark cloud was strucken and rolled back. Together with it, the armies it had brought with intent to conquer America, leaving the inhabitants of this republic victorious. Then I beheld the villages and towns and cities springing up more glorious than they were before. Then the bright angel, planting Azure's standard, had brought in the midst of them, cried with a loud voice and said, while the stars remain and the heavens send down dew upon the earth, so long, Son of the Republic, shall this union stand. And taking from his brow the crown upon which was blazoned the word union, he placed it upon the people and knelt down and said, to God in the heavens be glorified with this land. This land is paid for by the blood of Jesus.
At the time that George Washington was fighting for freedom from the British, all odds were against Washington as he was losing soldiers left and right during this battle for freedom. Only 3% of America was helping fight, but he didn't give up. He manifested greatness and he won the war, granting the United States of America freedom from the British over a couple percentages of taxes. Fast forward to today's time, the British are back in control of the monetary system, and it's even worse because instead of a couple percentages of taxes, we're getting tax on top of tax on top of tax. United we stand, divided we fall. And right now we are divided, but as we are awakening, we are becoming united. And see, the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is that during times like these, when it feels like all hope is lost and everything is working against you, it's when miraculously things start to change for the better. Don't lose the faith. Manifest greatness. Trust the process, because we're living through biblical times as we speak. And as everyone is going through this great awakening moment, we're all going to come together and abolish this evil that has been controlling us for so long. And this is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's go.
I love his work because he gives great content, points to the military code in the Q drops, and he's a very clear and concise creator. So we thank you, Echo. We really appreciate you. Okay, we're in the block of financials. So we have we talked about Japan and XRP and Echo. Was there anything else that we had in the financial block? Yes. Oh, Disney. All right. So this is what we're seeing all over the place is these powerful CEOs like Bob Iger at Disney quietly dumps company stock before billionaire showdown. How do you beat them at their own game? You enroll the white hats. The Global Alliance has millionaires and billionaires with money who have invested in the complete takedown of these corporations. They're illegal, they're nasty, and they have bad intent. And it's sad to see Walt Disney Company. We grew up going to Disneyland as kids. We take our grandkids there. It's really sad. And so I believe that Disney has been taken over by white hat corporations, and they will revamp it to not be what it has been used for, and that is moving children and corrupting children. It's just sad. Sad, sad, sad. The Mickey Mouse Club we thought was great. Well, they were grooming the children in the Mickey Mouse Club. So many of those became pop stars in the future, Justin Timberlake. And I think Britney Spears was in the Mickey Mouse Club. I'm not sure. So good meaning parents or not, just know that we love the products. Yes, Allison, Terry Crew will be next. That'd be great. Yes, please. Thank you. So let Disney be taken over and revamped and utilized for good. All right. Hit it, Alice.
I know how close I came to losing it all. Just when you get emasculated like that, when I tell you the way he looked at me, the way he giggled, it was one of those things where he was like, "Hey man, no one's ever gonna believe you."
Do you think it was a way of him maybe exercising power?
It was. First of all, this whole thing, from Weinstein to all what's happening in Hollywood, is about an abuse of power, an abuse of the position you have. And what happens is they have fooled everyone into thinking it was part of the job. I told my agent at the agency, I told my manager, Adam knew. Adam called me on the way home from the event to apologize that same night because it was that traumatic. You understand? When I left, he was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I understand something really, really bad went down." And I'm going, this is crazy. I get a call from my agent saying that Bennett's going to call you. I get a call. Here, it's him on the line. I'm sorry. I was drunk. I wasn't myself that night. And I said, "Hey, man, you got to understand the depth of what you did in front of my wife." I said, "Man, you don't even know how close you got to really being hurt." And I said, "You need some help." I said, "You need to go get help." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." When I tweeted, I didn't mention the name. I didn't mention anybody. But what happened was I started getting calls from the agency. Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? I said, "No, it's not okay. I've been waiting a year and I haven't heard anything." What happened with him? Where is his accountability? I paid William Morris Endeavor 10% of everything I made for the last 15 years. I did not deserve to get.
Do you think this has hurt your career coming out?
I don't know. But this is what I have to say. I've learned a long time ago to always do the right thing, and the universe takes care of me. That's the deal. You might have $400 million in cash, but I'd rather have $400 million in influence. Honor is where you have to do it. You have to have honor. If I can't do it with honor, what's the point? Because this is the deal. Weinstein's money ain't helping him now. Kevin Spacey's money's not helping him right now. That's the deal. It's all disappearing. If you have honor, that's something no one can take away from you.
Former NFL player turned actor Terry Crews shared his experience of assault in Hollywood. He revealed being by a powerful Hollywood agent at a party in 2016. Despite his tough image, Crews emphasized the seriousness of assault and the need for accountability. He reported the incident to his agency and manager immediately, but did not go public until later, citing the Weinstein scandal as a trigger. Crews highlighted the abuse of power in Hollywood and the importance of speaking out against it. He hopes his story will bring about change and encourage others to come forward. In light of the numerous revelations, including recent allegations involving P. Diddy, it's clear that this abuse of power extends far beyond Hollywood. Terry Crews' story is just one example of the pervasive nature of assault across industries. Let's keep this conversation going and collaborate to establish a safer, more respectful environment for all. Have you or someone you know been impacted in a similar situation? Your voice matters. Share your story, and let's stand together in support. Together, we can drive meaningful change.
Good for you, Terry Crew. It just takes one voice, but the power is in two voices. When two or more are gathered in the truth, it's exposed. Okay, Allison, we're moving into the next block of our show. I believe we are moving into Trump. Is that, this gentleman. Okay, I've watched this several times because it's in, I forget which one, the 9th or I forget which episode of the Medic of Truth, or the Truth of Medic. Pardon me, Allison, I'm butchering it. So what is going on here is we're seeing all the corporations that are behind and where the medical pharmacia came from. It's been around forever. As you know, they've been pulling the strings. And yet when this gentleman showed up in that video, I thought we got to share him because he yeah, we'll do this and then we'll go to the Trump trial. So he is able to do a great job in his documentaries, pointing us to the true history of medicine and who controlled the medicine. You've got to watch it, please. Well, you don't got to do anything. If you feel moved to watch it, I think that you will be like, whoa, because we've seen so many exposure videos, and yet this gentleman does a great job on them. So I'll see you in a few.
In communications. I've been in communications for 20 years now. Part of that experience is with PR and being on the inside of newsworthy events. I've seen two things. Number one, news outlets lie. Make no mistake, they lie. And number two, when people don't have enough information, they tend to start to fill in those informational gaps with their own fears. I think the answers to all the questions, and I'll get into those questions, lie with one simple piece of the puzzle that I don't think anybody has, or at least nobody has talked about it yet. And that is this. Everything that you think is going on probably isn't as crazy and fantastical as you think it is. It's all about the money. And if you just follow the money, I think a lot of everything that we're going through is going to make sense. Part one, we get to the Vanguard Group. And who is the Vanguard Group? Well, the Vanguard Group is a large investment firm. And I believe they're the largest firm in the world. Now, a lot of people think that's BlackRock, but there are two reasons why I don't think that's true. Number one, all of the top companies, top 10 companies, they all seem to have this incestuous and convoluted relationship. BlackRock and Vanguard being, you know, the top two, along with like State Street and other things like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, Berkshire's on there. They all seem to own one another, and it's all very confusing, and I think that's intentional. So if you go to Yahoo Finance and you type in, let's say, Apple or MasterCard, or for example, SNC-Lavalin, you're going to find that the Vanguard Group is at the top of that list. So you type in Apple into Yahoo Finance, and then you go over to the holders tab and you find out who the top shareholders are. You're going to find it's the same companies over and over again. So using Apple again as an example, you type in Apple, you go to the holders, and you find out who owns Apple. And then if you go to BlackRock, which is, you know, number one in a lot of people's minds, then you find out that they're part owned by several people as well, and their holders include the Vanguard Group. But if you go to the Vanguard Group, that's where the trail goes cold. And that's because the Vanguard Group has a unique situation. And that situation is all of their clients are sold part ownership in the company. So even though they're a public company, you can buy stocks, their shareholders are protected by client confidentiality. So we don't know who actually owns Vanguard Group. So from here on in, when we talk about what benefits Vanguard Group, we're really talking about mostly those select flagship clients that are 5 million and up. Okay, so that's point number one. You need to know about the Vanguard Group. Go to Yahoo Finance and start looking at any company that you want. So that brings us to why Vanguard matters. So great, they're a successful company that has their fingers in the pie of every single corporation, bank, manufacturer. If you eat it, smell it, wear it, watch it, listen to it, apply it, spend with it, travel with it, Vanguard owns a piece of it. And if you do some forensic accounting, you're going to find that even though it says they own about 6% as the top shareholder in a company, if you look a little deeper, it's really usually about 10 to 15%. And they own so many things that it's safe to say that Vanguard owns, or at least makes 10 to 15% off of most of every single sale on the entire planet. So Vanguard matters. And when I say they own controlling our major shares in most of these companies. And since the companies want to please the shareholders, they pull a lot of weight. So that's the global picture. Now, if you're not sure why that pertains to you, it starts pertaining to you when you see things like lockdowns and you start asking the questions, why did they lock down small business and churches, but they're sharing pictures all the time of people packed to the rafters in Costco or Walmart? So why did the social distancing really not apply to Costco and Walmart? Well, that starts to make sense when you find out that Vanguard owns Costco and Walmart. So it's profit. So they're taking money away from small business and putting it towards large business. Who also made most of the money last year? Amazon, owned by Vanguard. Now it really starts to make a lot more sense as to What else is going on? And this starts to get where it's really frightening. Would you consider it collusion or racketeering, or would you have a problem with the fact that Vanguard owns Twitter and Facebook, the two biggest companies that are trying to censor alternate information against the vaccine and the lockdowns, while shaming you to anybody who doesn't want to get the vaccines or against lockdowns, you're calling it anti-vaxxers and or science deniers. They're working actively at doing that. They're owned by Vanguard, but Vanguard also owns Pfizer and Moderna. So the companies telling you to get the vaccine are also owned by the same company who are selling the vaccine. So you can see where this starts to become a problem. Okay, now I know you're going, well, that's Moderna, so what? What does that have to do with governments? Wait, I'm going to Perry Mason the hell out of this thing. Okay, so that brings us to part 2, which is the World Economic Forum. Why the World Economic Forum matters is going to make complete sense in a second. Most people think the World Economic Forum is pulling the strings. Well, why wouldn't you? Because there is a stereotypical Bond villain at the helm. Everybody thinks that, sure enough, they're pulling all the strings, right? But I think just like Vanguard is underestimated, I think that the World Economic Forum is overestimated. And if you think that they're not pulling the strings and start instead looking at them like a marketing/propaganda department for Vanguard, then you go to the partners list on the World Economic Forum, and you're going to start to see that the partners list starts looking a lot like a Vanguard Group holding statement. So these are all the companies that they own. And they're right there. When you start looking at the partners, this is why I think Vanguard's at the top, because on the client list or the partners list, you can find BlackRock, but you can't see Vanguard. Where'd they go? Why don't they want to be on the radar there? So some of the partners that are part of the World Economic Forum are Apple and MasterCard and SNC-Lavalin. I think by now some of you know where I'm going with this. But there's another part to the World Economic Forum. Now you can go there, you can see all the companies that are on board with the World Economic Forum statement, and by extension, Vanguard statement. Okay? Some of those companies are Apple, MasterCard, SNC-Lavalin, as I mentioned. So we've now connected certain politicians to Vanguard that way. And then can we make a circular relationship? So that brings us to part 3, Vanguard Group and government connections. And a quick, simple search on the federal lobbying database will show that Vanguard has an active relationship lobbying our government. So now we've showed a reciprocal relationship between the two. Telling the people early in 2020 that the only way to end this pandemic is when we have a vaccine. It's important to note to this point that in the last 20 years, a successful COVID vaccine has not been achievable. How was it in early 2020? Justin Trudeau was so sure that the only way out of this pandemic was going to be through a vaccine. Reasonable science would have said that can't be our only goal because it hasn't been achievable up until now. But he was so sure at that time. By telling you that there's only one solution, that's racketeering by definition. So he's already got the solution. He's going to force you to take that solution. That's what that is. So here's why I think coming together works. We have a reason. We have a strategy. We have a one unified strategy. Don't buy from Vanguard. Doing a defund Vanguard campaign means that we're taking on the largest company in the entire world, and by extension, those flagship clients. And we can all pretty much guess who is probably on that list.
Okay, so was that powerful? Did you find that powerful? I did personally because in the 1990s, when they rolled out the 401k programs, and my husband's employer said he would match 10 or 15% of whatever we contributed to the 401k, we went to the first meeting, and what were the envelopes, the big portfolio folders thrown down on the desk? Vanguard portfolios. This is a monopoly. That's what he's talking about. And it controls everything, everything from the markets to food to water to, health, everything. That's what we're showing you. That's why we need people to buy farms, to keep healthy organic food being grown and created. And I just saw somebody in the Rumble chat said that we need to raise chickens and grow our own food. And a lot of people who don't have that space have been growing through those container gardens inside, etc. Personally, I think that's the best thing that we could do, is to make friends with the farmers in our communities and get our food fresh from them, and also grow what we can. My husband and I love having gardens and growing our vegetables, especially over here in Eastern Washington. Watermelons and cantaloupe grow so good over here. And the other thing, I guess that's all I had. So, Allison, thank you for sharing that. Now, to add on to that, we also have, I think you can hear me. Okay. We also have Steve Kirsch, and I posted this on Facebook too, because it was out on Truth, I believe, or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He says, breaking, you can now sue mRNA COVID vaccine manufacturers for damages, and the FDA is required to take the COVID vaccines off the market. Yes. Why? Alteration or adulteration? Anyways, the plasmid bioactive contaminant sequences were not pointed out to the regulatory authorities. It's considered alteration. I just got off the phone with Professor Brian Brittle and Dr. Robert Malone on this. You know who Dr. Robert Malone is. He's been one of the truthers who's gone out and said, hey, whoa, wait, along with many others. And then, of course, is discounted by the mainstream media. So way to go, Steve Kirsch. Way to go if you have been injured. And we know so many are, because of the VAERS report, that there's way higher injuries than are being reported in the public mainstream media. So thank you, Allison. Turncoat Dawn says, also, whoops, it went away, also known as the eye of Pfizer. Okay, so let's watch this.
Sudden cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in young athletes.
Rising up, the word on the street. You take your shot, you take your chances. Believe the nonsense, I was still on my feet. Had COVID 6 times and survived. So many times, it happens too fast. So many parts just exploded. You lose your grip and you realize at last your whole right side seems paralyzed. It's the eye of the Pfizer, it's the thrill of the shot. Just ignoring the data from the trial until the last known survivor seizes up in the night. They'll be watching us all with the eye of the Pfizer. Just ignoring the data from the trial until the last known survivor seizes up in the night. They'll be watching us all with the eye of the Pfizer.
You know, the fun upbeat song and the change of lyrics is awesome, but the truth is horrifying. It's just horrifying. My husband and I were at a Clay Clark event, and we met General Flynn, who is my husband's, really loves him, and I do too. And so it's wonderful when he and I are on the same page. And we got pictures with General Flynn, and my brother Mike said, "I want to know what your husband's T-shirt says." And it was actually a picture of two mice talking to each other, and the bubble one says, "Have you gotten the shot yet?" And the other mouse says, "No, they're not done testing it on humans yet." That's the truth. And I tried. I waved my flag, and my friends just said, "I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it." And so hopefully people are taking the cotton out of their ears and putting it in their mouth and paying attention, because I also know many vaccine injured from flu shots, from other ordinary, what we call ordinary, injections. And they've lost the ability to use their arms or parts of their bodies, and they can't figure out why. And people in wheelchairs who said that they got the whatever shot that they were told to get years ago and ended up in a wheelchair as almost quadriplegic, and said, "Oh, it was a side effect, a rare, unusual side effect from the shot." So please, if you're still thinking that the flu shots are a good idea, please don't. Please take a look at building your immune system rather than putting toxins and poisons and mRNA or mercury or whatever else in your body. Look at all the children with autism. We didn't have that growing up until they started upping the doses of those shots to like 70, but by the time the child is in elementary school. It's criminal. They're going to be shown publicly the arrests that have already been done. They're going to show this to us after we get to the right moment in time to see the international tribunals, the military tribunals, and the executions of those people who are responsible and were complicit, from the media to politicians to doctors who were just taking the money and didn't care. So we have to face our responsibilities as citizens. If you didn't know, and you're a nurse or a doctor, and you didn't know, you were just part of the system and believed in the system, the medical system, then you are forgiven. If you intentionally took money and were part of this psyop called the pandemic, then you're going to pay the price and the consequences. So there's a lot of grace in my heart. I know others don't have that grace in their hearts. They want everybody who was injecting people to pay the price. I don't look at it that way. I think that because I know so many people across North America, I know beautiful doctors and X-ray technicians and nurses who were thinking they were doing a great job. And yet, as they put on the remdesivir and the ventilators, and then people died, they thought that really was COVID that was killing them. It wasn't. It was the protocol. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that, Allison. You're going to have to bring me back now. Oh, this is so good. Allison, did you want to speak?
Oh, no, I was just trying to answer you. Yes, I've got your back. No problem. We have this wonderful gentleman here. Let's see what he has to say.
Conspiracy time. I believe that some very heavily guarded secrets are located inside state and national parks. Hear me out. So I'm a supervisor at a state park. I have keys to almost every building. I have access code to almost every gate. I have access to places in the park that staff aren't allowed to go, and I have access to the park where general public is not allowed to go. You cannot fly drones over top this park, as well as many other parks. There is a very heavy undercover presence here, and I know that for a fact. There has been numerous times where large portions of the park were shut down due to archaeological reasons, and there has been numerous instances where certain parking lots were completely shut down and filled with National Guard and military vehicles. there are animals back here that are not supposed to be here. Like last year, I actually saw a lemur in the state park in Florida. There are reports of exotic animals that are not supposed to be here. When they're reported to us, we are told to tell them that is because there is exotic breeders just outside the park and sometimes those animals get out. Is that true? I don't know. Going down the rabbit hole in the state parks and out in the wilderness, there have been reports of staircases, just random staircases out in the forest. Yeah, staircases leading to nowhere. Look it up. So yeah, I believe that there's things being hidden back here that they don't want us to know about. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, let us in. Yet, if there's something really nefarious in there, which a lot of us think there is, and we don't know what it is exactly, at least I don't, you know, I've always wondered, why do they keep us from seeing so much of the United States? Why is it blocked off, roped off? You can't, do not enter, government officials only. This is important as we dig for the truth about what's going on in our national parks and why we have been prevented from seeing them. Very, very important. I want to thank the NeeBGBGSpees. I don't know how to say that on Rumble, because that person, it looks like a woman, actually said it quite succinctly. She said, parasites are basically the cause of almost all pathogens. We have parasites in us and we can detox those. We can use ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, and others. You know, I'm big on cleansing, mineral cleansing, getting the gunk out of our bodies. I'm big on the Wave Watch, helps with pain, helps to just blow me away every time I have an issue and I put the Wave Watch on. It's incredible. Okay, so thank you to that parks gentleman. I've been waiting to hear something about the parks and exposure on that. So if you hear of anything, please join me on Telegram and post it there in the chat. Miss Allison, I think we're ready to go into Trump information now, right? Trump is exposing.
Thank you very much. So we begin again. This is a case that should never have been brought. Every single major legal scholar, Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, Andy McCarthy, Dershowitz, every single scholar, Mark Levin, the great Mark Levin, had a whole show on it last night, said that this is a disgraceful case. It's a disgrace to the New York state and city court system. And all of the cases are, frankly, all of them are. You probably saw last night that Jack Smith got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. It was released late last night, and it's a big story. The documents case is a hoax created by them for election interference purposes. And so that one looks like it's going asunder. A brilliant judge saw some facts, and I haven't read what was revealed yet. It just came out. But the document hoax is indeed a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. All of them are hoaxes, including the civil cases. They're controlled by the White House. They're controlled by Democrat judges and prosecutors that were put there specifically. They hate Trump. And the people are getting it. That's why we just came out. A new Emerson poll just was released about 2 minutes ago. And I'm leading by a lot in every swing state and leading in the general election. And you saw the CNN poll. I'm sure they aren't too happy with it, but the CNN poll was fantastic. So we're here. This is a hoax. This is a judge who's conflicted, badly conflicted. I've never seen a judge so conflicted, and giving us virtually no rulings. I hear I'm not even allowed to say advice of counsel. This is a new one to me, advice of counsel. When you have a lawyer and the lawyer does something or advises you on something, you say advice of counsel. He said you're not allowed to say that. And so you'll all figure it out. But I think the public has figured it out because the poll numbers are the highest they've ever been. And I appreciate you treated me, actually, I thought quite fairly, at least the people here, which is a lot of people. And I appreciate that. The Biden protests that are going on are horrible. It's all caused by him because he doesn't know how to speak. He can't put two sentences together. He's got to get out and make a statement because the colleges are being overrun in this country. The anti-Semitism, all of the problems going on, they're being overrun. I've never seen anything like it. He said he ran because of Charlottesville. Well, if the people that know Charlottesville, when you extend a statement, it's a big hoax what they say was said, and they understand that. And Charlottesville is peanuts compared to what you're looking at now. This whole country is up in arms breaking into colleges, knocking the hell out of Columbia University. I mean, if they took over, I know the building very well, they took over a building. That is a big deal. And I wonder what's going to happen to them with anything comparable to what happened to J6. Because they're doing a lot of destruction, a lot of damages, a lot of people getting hurt very badly. I wonder if that's going to be the same kind of treatment they gave J6. Let's see how that all works out. I think I can give you the answer right now. And that's why people have lost faith in our court system. So the Biden protests are a disaster, and he hasn't even made a statement because he's not capable of making a statement. I'm still waiting for him to debate. He said on the very lowly rated Howard Stern show, he said very strongly, oh, I want to debate. Well, we haven't seen it. But we would love to debate anytime, and I think it's a good time to have a debate, even though it's early. But 6 months is pretty close. November 5th is going to go down as the most important day in the history of our country because we're going to turn our country around. Our country is going to hell. It's going to hell. It's very sad to see. But November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. So I'm going to go into this trial. I'm going to sit in a freezing cold icebox for 8 hours, 9 hours or so. They took me off the campaign trail. But the good news is my phone numbers are the highest they've ever been, so at least we're getting the word out. And everybody knows this trial is a scam. It's a scam. The judge should be recused, and he should recuse himself today. It's the most recusable judge I've been called recusal abuse, and he should recuse himself today. And maybe he will. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll do the right thing. But really, more importantly than the recusal, he should terminate the case today. The judge should terminate the case because they have no case. As Jonathan Turley said, as all of them said, every single one of them, Dershowitz, McCarthy, everyone, Rick Jarrett, Mark Levin, they all said this case should be ended immediately. This case is over. It should be ended immediately. And many of them are not fans of mine, but they want to do the right thing for the country. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go into the icebox now and sit for about 8 hours or 9 hours. I'd much rather be in Georgia. I'd much rather be in Florida. I'd much rather be in states that are in play, states that, I'd like to be able to campaign. Biden's out campaigning. If you call it campaigning, he can't campaign because every time he opens his mouth, he gets in trouble. But Biden is out campaigning very nicely. I think when I start campaigning, he'll stop. He'll go back into his basement. But I want to thank everybody. You've really been treating me very fair. I want to thank Time Magazine. They did a cover story, which is very nice. And it's actually, there's at least 60%, it's at least 60% correct, which is about all I can ask for. So I want to thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Were you getting part of the crowd with the dealers?
Okay, so we know that this Trump trial is the path to freaked out, scared demons who cannot control him. He has the money and the resources, and this is how they take down people like JFK and Lincoln. If they can't beat you in the courts, then they'll assassinate you. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to a staged assassination. Yet what I think is happening is that this Trump trial is going to end with some spectacular decisions. And if they do declare that he doesn't have immunity, then that just opens up the door to put those other past presidents and charge them with the crimes that they have been doing, especially like Obama with the drone strikes, killing innocent citizens and or civilians is what I meant to say, and military. We've seen the drone strikes. We have seen how corrupt the judicial system is. Soros paid for all these attorneys and judges. These people are all bought. They're part of the deep state system, controlled and run by the top of the Illuminati. Not the very tippy top, the one that we're looking for, who's there, yet all these puppets who will do the bidding for them. And so how is this going to turn out? I want to remind everyone that SCOTUS already ruled on the election fraud of 2020 through the Brunson report, the Brunson case. And so, all it would take is for some SCOTUS information to come out and or to see what their final decisions are in these Trump trials. It's very fascinating to watch Forbes live with the SCOTUS's bantering and talking to each other. And this isn't the way it's meant to be. We are meant to be a republic, and we have already returned to a restored republic, but the public hasn't seen that yet. And this is our opportunity to get some justice within the justice system because it is so corrupt. It has to be taken down. And, on the screen, it had the, Columbia university students. Well, these have been in the Q drops to watch Columbia University, and these colleges are nothing more than MLK Ultra brainwashing the students. And this may hit you hard, yet these systems are being taken down. I don't think we're going to see these colleges anymore. We're going to see a whole entire new educational system. I've read and heard that William, now I've forgotten his name. He's been around a long time. William Bennett is helping to head that up. I don't know that for a fact. I've read it, I've seen it, and yet we will see as and I want to thank Danielle from Holland. I had her, she was the first person I ever interviewed. I got up at 4 a.m. to interview her because of the time difference. And she was the first one who said, Nancy, they're taking down every single system. And she was in a foreign country, right? We're the last ones to find out. People know the truth about a lot of things in other countries. They've watched us. They haven't trusted the United States. Well, please know that we, the people of the United States, we respect you, we honor you, we celebrate the Iraqi people they're going to just explode, much like Dubai did. And they are going to be dancing in the streets, and I'm going to be dancing with them. And wouldn't it be grand to take a trip to Iraq, to Dubai, to come to some of these countries? We Americans aren't as adventurous in our travel as I've witnessed the Canadians are. The Canadians will get out of high school, and before going to college, they'll go travel the world. They're much more experienced in visiting other nations, and they bring back their stories, and they're remarkable. So I hope that we all get to have the opportunity to go to these countries and to see what's going on and how their people are so united and together, other than the baddies that have been removed, in Saudi Arabia, everywhere. And if they were trying to get help, then they were either taken out. If those prime ministers or leaders of the countries were taken out, like in Africa, it's so sad. It's so criminal. And yet the positive point is that's the past. It's already happened. And this is the present moment now. And we're co-creating the future by holding the outcome in our hearts, the prosperity in our hands, to be able to create the new world, the new earth, not the new world order. Those guys are done. We're going to see King Charles, probably scuttlebutt is in the Anon community, reading the drops, the military drops, perhaps a helicopter crash while he's being transported someplace else for medical reasons. Who knows? Well, this is just a riveting pantomime to get to the truth. And you know what? It's not going to be the same. We are going to have that shock and awe, heart-stopping moment where we may become afraid if we hear those air raid drills, or the stock market goes down, if the banks that are not Basel 3, 4 compliant, then how are you going to get your money out of the bank? We know that the banks have been merging, they've been taken over, they've been rescued, some of them, but not all of them. Many banks are going to go down, including some of the union banks. So in fact, I read a woman on Facebook yesterday. She said, I saw the list of the Basel III compliant banks in my area. She just Googled that topic in her search bar, and she was able to find the ones that are still compliant. So there's some also, I posted on Facebook something that Mike Penny had put out there about there not being any 800 numbers, no bonds, no, all this stuff. And so it's up to us to watch the Forex. We take all the information and sift through it so that we can just know what's truth and lands for me. I'm not going to worry about what happens at redemption centers. I'm going in with my ID, I'm going in with my currency, and I am going to be open to their instructions on what to do next. And so we will be able to spend that money, as Mark Z says, when we leave. We won't have it in our hand, but we could go back to the bank after our exchange and be able to withdraw money. And also, we will be shown the new financial system, which we've been calling the QFS. I've seen a couple other names floating around. Who knows? I'm okay with surprises. I'm okay with going with the flow. I don't need to figure it out, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. Because if I get my mind into that linear thinking of it's one right way, then I'm not open and expansive to seeing all the other possibilities that could be the way that it's actually done. Why is it so secretive? Why is it so challenging to figure it out? Because there's been people who are baddies, as we call them, deep state or whatever, and they've been trying to funnel in their currencies and exchange them. Well, they're not having any luck. They're getting stopped. And so this process takes time to be able to sift through the people who don't deserve to exchange their Iraqi dinar. And we know the US government is holding a lot of Iraqi dinar. And they're just Iraq is just the one on the main screen. We have all these other nations that are revaluing their currency too. And that's why many people have multiple currencies. The Zimbabwe Zim, the Zimbabwe Agro Check, that is called a bond, but it's not treated like a bond. You can cash that out and not jump through any hoops. And whereas the Zim, the 100T notes, 50T, 20T, 10T notes, those may come with if you want to say, if I wanted to buy a retreat center and I wanted to use a Zim, and then I may need to be qualified to have a loan through them because of that Zim. And that's what we have heard, yet we won't know until we get there, folks. So I'm not going to try and figure it out. I just know that if you want to have the cash in your hand, then you will be able to do that. And you will be, I think it's a responsibility to you can use your money however you choose to. And yet who you are now is who you will be when you are given the blessings of Nasara Jasara, foreign currency exchange, whatever. If you're a dark, evil person with no heart, then that's who you'll be with money. If you are in service to your community and want to see the good of humanity thrive, that money comes with the opportunity to help flood the new world and the new systems with products, ideas, technologies that need to be funded in order for them to come out in the world. And we do know there's over 6,000 patents that were suppressed. And those patents, I believe, have been being worked on since Trump came down the escalator, if not before, so that they could be prepared to have these new technologies in how we turn on the lights in our homes from small boxes so you can live anywhere. Like we lived off the grid for 6 years without electricity because we couldn't get all the neighborhood to sign a petition to agree to bring electricity in. Not everybody wanted it. They didn't want to change the natural environment. And we wanted it. We wanted electricity. So now you can have this box and take it and go, start homesteading. I want to know about the water too, because that's another issue for people who go out and get their own property is, do you have a dug well, a surface well, a drilled well? And so I'm looking forward to seeing the new technologies on that. But the most exciting one is transportation, transporters, the new aerospace that will be coming out, because Boeing is bad. Boeing is not good. And I know people who've retired there, and Boeing treated them very well financially. And yet every big corporation is run by that Illuminati. And that's what we're pointing out to show us. So imagine the world where you can get from point A to point B, in a half an hour versus 5 or 6 hours. I mean, I'm ready for that. I think that the airplanes have not been updated. They haven't provided comfort. Everyone ought to be in first class, in my humble opinion, right? Like, why should there be a lesser class of people just because of our financial portfolio? Well, you are going to be the new millionaires and billionaires of the world. So you will be able to share your resources and generosity and your heart of service to make good things happen and support people who have brilliant ideas like Tesla. Tesla couldn't be supported properly because he had the solution to so much, and they couldn't have that. So that's why Edison was highlighted and not Tesla. So, I am forever grateful for all the pioneers who have done the hard work for us, who have paid the price of their life, of their liberty. So, Allison has something else for us to share. And I just really want to thank everybody who is doing the deep dive and taking a look at all this information with us. Trump, if he wins, he'll be on Time magazine. Well, that says it all. Is Trump a time traveler? Did he go in the time machine? I think that's a com.
It's always a com, but actually, I don't know. It says May 27th, 2024.
Oh,
so it's a new issue of Time. It's Time's issue for May, I guess. I'm not sure why it's 27th. But, and I remember him just in that video we played a second ago of him at the court. Well, he mentioned this cover, and he thanked Time for putting that cover out. So apparently it is live out. Not
and they and the good guys are in charge of Time magazine again.
I think that's the only way it could have gotten on there, in my opinion, but that's just me at any rate. I think it's awesome. Now, this is a post. I apologize. There's a big a helicopter going over really low right now. It's concerning.
I don't hear it.
Well, okay.
Interesting.
I was worried it would mess with the sound, but this is information about the FBI. The agency had pallets of docs sent to Mar-a-Lago a year before the raid. Okay?
You don't say.
And then in this article here, this was the Federalist. I'll be putting this in the description as well for anybody to read. It goes into great detail, and it actually mentions this ex-post by Julie Kelly, a journalist, or one of them. Well, I'm pretty sure we never heard this part of the classified documents box story. More from unredacted motions in Florida. This is from an unsealed transcript of witness interview. FBI agent says GSA was holding a large quantity of Trump's boxes in Virginia and then ordered his team to come and get them. I'm sure nothing hanky-panky happened there. It says, one of the things I wanted to talk about, if you remember, sometime after the administration ended, GSA had approximately 6 pallets of items, boxes, I believe, that were stored in Virginia. And at some point, I guess there were maybe a time limit. I'm not entirely sure. They contacted the office of 45 to inform them that, they have to go. Someone has to pick them up, or they have to be shipped, or something to that effect. Does this ring a bell at all with you? It's like you guys are the ones that were in charge of actually sending it to Mar-a-Lago. Did you know what was in there already? You wanted to plant something? There's so many possibilities there. I just wanted to point that out. That's all.
Thank you. And so was that the last of your shares then that we talked about? Okay.
I believe so. Yes. Now we've covered a lot. It's almost going on a 2-hour show. So
wow. So we're going to move into wrapping, but I want to just ask everyone to please show Allison some love for the countless hours she spends. Yay. You are a very powerful and prosperous producer, and we're so grateful for the donations to help her and us continue to do the Nancy Kerner Show and all those beautiful, brilliant videos that she's posting. Thank you for your donations and supporting Allison.
It's from my heart, guys. I love it. and I love the response. I am overwhelmed with the response, and I appreciate it so much. It's continues to like just blow me away. So thank you guys. Y'all are awesome.
Thank you. And, just so that you know, we're not across the financial finish line yet. So please, if you have the heart and the gift to buy a coffee or more, when you go to the donation link, you can actually just backspace on the 5 for a $5 coffee and put whatever amount you want. And I'm still sending these out for every $25, you'll get a $5 billion special agro check, which Mark Z says are worth $1.6 million. So, oh my goodness, I guess I'm wrapping. Let me just pick a candle. I am going to choose this candle of gratitude. From my heart to your heart, I just thank you so much for watching, for being open, awake, and aware. And if you're new, my heart is with you, because in January 2021, I felt like I got gut punched with the election fraud. And that's how many of my friends and your friends and community are going to feel very soon. They're going to really have some cognitive dissonance and not being able to believe what they see. And so many of my feminist friends who were brought up in colleges and education systems where the feminist movement actually took us away from our divine femininity, in my humble opinion. And they were totally brought into the corruption of the colleges unwittingly. They didn't know what they didn't know. And now that we know, let's hold the space for unity, true connectedness. And let's just point our frustration or anger to the people who deserve it at the top, not at the people of the world. Left, right, they're all parts of the same bird. Everyone is a victim here. Every one of us. We didn't choose this. And yet there's some of us who knew something wasn't right about many things since we were children. And as we go through this process of remembering the truth about who we are, the power that we have within, to make that connection with our higher self, our higher power, God, Jesus, the goddess, it doesn't matter as long as your heart is open in love. To me, that's the biggest spiritual accompaniment I could see. When relationships are joined in the heart, that's a spiritual experience. It's the absence of fear. It's the absence of drama and gossip. It's the absence of toxicity and ego, mind frick. Yes, we have an ego, and what I talk about is giving my ego a bigger purpose than my problems to focus on. And that just keeps me peaceful and grounded. No matter what I look at, no matter what I see, a return to the heart, a return to love. As Marianne Williamson said, by the way, she's on the cover of George magazine. I ordered a copy because she was my first spiritual female woman back in 1990 when I read her book, A Return to Love. So who is she? Is she who we think she's been all this time? This is a time of learning how to trust yourself, learning how to trust your intuition and the downloads and inspiration and direction that comes from source. You are being shown where to go, what to say, and to whom. And so from my heart to your heart, I thank you for being here. We look forward to crossing the finish line. We will do a special broadcast if needed tomorrow. However, if not, then we will see you on Thursday, May 2nd. Thank you for joining us. Aloha.
November 22nd, 1963. A day that shook America. But what if history as we know it is not the true story of events. 104. JFK's journey beyond the grassy knoll unveils an untold chapter where resilience turns tragedy into a covert mission against unseen enemies. From the depths of seclusion, a fallen leader rises to challenge the deep state, shaping a legacy far beyond the limelight. Discover the hidden journey of a president who survived to fight from the shadows. Coming soon.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget.
Diggity dog. I have them like Miley Cyrus, clothes off, twerking in their bras and thongs. Face down, booty up. That's the way we like the wood. I'm sicker than an oil spill. She say she won't, but I bet she will. Timber. Swing your partner round and round, and then the night is going down. One more shot, another round, and then the night is going down. Swing your partner round and round, and then the night is going down. One more shot, another round, and then the night is going down.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move, you better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget. It's going down, I'm yelling timber. You better move, you better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget.
Anything club jumping like LeBron now. Bowl it, order me another round. Homie, we about to clown. Why? Cause it's about to go down. Swing your partner round and round, and then the night is going down. One more shot, another round, and then the night is going down. Swing your partner round and round, and then the night is going down. One more shot, another round, and then the night is going down.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night you won't remember. I'll be the one you won't forget.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
The things that make you happy, go do those things. Like right now. What are you waiting for? Go!
Are you tired of all the pills in your medicine cabinet? I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the creator of the Wave Watch, a more natural approach with 1,000 frequencies for mind and body. You've got to hear some testimonies from people just like you. I absolutely love this Wave Watch. It has helped me with occasional aches, cramps in my muscles. I twisted my knee a month ago, and the Wave Watch has helped tremendously with the pain while healing. And how about this one from Debbie in Colorado? My left leg was hurt bad enough that I would cry when walking to the doctor. doctor. Doctor appointments are $170 and chiropractic sessions were $45 many times for the last 2 years. My hands and neck are stiff. My leg quit throbbing within 5 minutes of the session for bursitis, and 2 hours later, still no pain. Are you tired of all your pills and endless trips to the pharmacy? Why not try the Wave Watch with 1,000 different self-care ideas and put your mind at ease? It's the world's first sound frequency therapy watch. Wave Watch is not connected to the internet. There are no messy cords and patches. There's no monthly fee. It's very simple, easy self-care. And best of all, people are comparing it, saying it's like a med bed on your wrist.
To order your Wave Watch, go to wavewatch.com and be sure to use the discount code Nancy100 at checkout to receive $100 off your order today.